Ah, can we move a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oops. Okay. Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna hai,
Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Krishna hai.
Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Krishna hai.
Krishna, 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 Rakshamam.
Krishna, 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 Krishna.
Krishna, 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 Rakshama.
Krishna, 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 Rakshama.
Krishna, 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 Paima.
Krishna, 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 Pahima.
Krishna, 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 Paima.
Krishna, 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 Pahima.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam.
Rama, 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 Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam.
Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshama.
Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Paima.
Krishna, 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 Ahima.
Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Paima.
Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahima.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Jai. Hare Krishna, and welcome to the second part of our presentation, Why Religious Movements Succeed or Fail. We are analyzing 10 sociological propositions developed by Professor Rodney Stark, the late Professor Stark. Also looking at what Srila Prabhupada said, that very much is in tune with these sociological principles. I repeat, sociological principle means a sociologist of religion, like Dr. Stark, is not too interested in seeing the value of a particular religion, theologically, philosophically, or historically, but just the human dynamics as a community. So, independently from the message or the tradition, these are, we could say, universal parameters for success or failure. Now, we discussed the first 5 on Monday. Some of you have the notes from Monday. You have the notes? No, you don't have. Okay, it's fine. So we discussed how having a message which somehow culturally and therefore psychologically connects with the experience of people, it's an advantage. Because people have made an investment of emotion, of time, of energy in learning a certain religion. The stories, the scriptures, the hymns, the different symbols. So it's easier to join a religion which has pretty much the same type of cultural milieu. Then we discussed that for religious group generally it's not very good to give prophecies, because sometimes prophecies don't come true, and therefore they lose members and they lose reputation, credibility. Then we also said that fortunately our prophecies like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and so on, and the Bhagavatam, so far came true. Then we discussed about the importance of medium tension with the environment. In other words, a religious group, to be attractive, to be successful, needs to be strict. Needs to be different from its own environment. But not too strict that nobody can join. Okay? Then we also discussed legitimate authority. Of course, those who are leaders, both in terms of globally or locally, they need doctrinal explanation. Doctrinal means based on their philosophy, why this person is a leader. And also people need to feel part of that system of leadership, at least potentially, for them to feel that the leadership is legitimate. And then the fifth was religious labor force. That means there must be people who are willing to put their time, their energy to serve this community, especially proselytizing. Proselytizing means preaching. Because when people are out there presenting their message, giving their books, helping people studying their scriptures, somebody will be converted, somebody will be interested, somebody will be joining. Religious groups that don't do that, after some time they shrink and they disappear. So we were discussing that, and we didn't finish the last few slides. So I want to go to those few slides. We were discussing about the Jehovah's Witnesses, you remember? These are them, downtown London, Oxford Circus Station, just very close to our Temple and Soul Street. Oxford Street, one of the most busy streets in the world. So they're there, see, nicely dressed, enthusiastic, with their own nice printouts, booklets. Now, many people couldn't care less about the Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, they don't like it. In some place, they even put stickers on their doors. No Jehovah's Witnesses, right? But by the sheer amount of volume of being out there, some people start listening and many people join. And of course, there is also the Mormons. You heard about the Mormons, Latter-day Saints. This is just from Wikipedia, how they grew. I don't know if you can see the numbers. From the 1830 to 2010, you see how they started, slow at 0 or 1 or 2, whatever. And then they move up, and they're now about, I believe, 60 million. And of course, we have also many devotees who are, so the church reported membership in 2014 was 15,372,000. This is 10 years ago, now must be bigger. And of course, we also have many devotees. These are all pictures of devotees. See, this is the old Bhagavad Gita, Macmillan edition. So throughout the years, many devotees spend millions of hours out there presenting the books. This is in America, this is in Israel, is giving a book to a Arab lady. This Bhaktin, in 1 year she became the #1 book distributor in the world. by herself. She's in Mumbai. Remember her name? Anybody remembers? I've written somewhere, but Number 1, book distributor in the world. This is in Moscow. You see there is snow, but devotee there passing out books and so on. So Srila Prabhupada said, as soon as you get, this is a very old, it's a circular, it's not really a letter, 1955. So 10 years before Srila Prabhupada left India, okay? He made a prospect for the League of Devotees, Jhansi. As soon as you get the certificate of degree of Bhakti Shastri, at once you become a bona fide preacher of this institution. We are interested more in preaching members than in the sleeping members. Bhagavatam, so directly in the book, 7th canto, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So, of course, we could share many more quotes. Time is limited, but these are more than enough to show the same principle, right? What Professor Stark say, an active, we could say even militant community, and this is what Srila Prabhupada wants. This can be done in a different way. Sometimes you can knock door to door. Someplace there are dogs, so it's a little more difficult. But you can have book tables and other forms, of course. But the principle is to pump out the message, and then somebody will pick it up. Okay, so this concludes the first 5. We move to 6. Adequate fertility. In other words, religious groups who are successful, they have enough babies. Because after some time, a religion cannot just depend on new converts. Most of us, sociologically speaking, we are new converts. Of course, you might have been already devotee of Krishna, devotee of Ram before. But in terms of ISKCON, as a particular society, most of us, we are new converts, right? We are not born in this movement. We join as adults. This is great. And this has been the source of our growth. But after some time, generation after generation, you need to replenish also from those who are born in the religion. In fact, there will be 2 principles based on this. First, having enough baby, and then we'll see the 10th, which keeping these children in the community, attracting them to stay. Because you can have 20 babies, but if none of them remain in the movement, doesn't help much. Okay, 6th proposition. Religious movement must maintain a level of fertility sufficient to at least offset member mortality.
Religious movement must maintain at least offset member mortality.
Because all members of a religion, ultimately, they will leave their body, right? So to be replenished, you need the fertility. So a movement which is famous in the world and is growing very much, and is growing without preaching. They are not trying to convert anybody, but they are growing. They are the Amish. Some of you have heard about them. So if some of you have been to Gita Nagari, there are a lot of Amish in that area. You have seen them with their carts, like horse-drawn carts. You have seen them. So, let's see. They are very large families. This is not an exceptional family. This is like a normal family. In fact, from Wikipedia, we learned that the Amish are among the fastest growing population in the world, with an average of 7 children per family. Average. So some are 10, 12, normal. Some have only 3 or 4. But the average is 7 children. See? Beautiful. These are still young, so they are only 5. But they are still young. They have time to do another 5, 6, right? So, and so they are growing. Because father and mother, then say 7 children, it's already 5 more. So at every family, more than doubles. And so they're buying lands. Now they're buying a lot of lands in Mexico, in Belize. They're spreading without any introduction from anybody. I mean, without integrating anybody from outside. Now, in a more general sense, a Pew Research Center, among the world's major religious groups, Muslims have the highest total fertility rate, as per 2015, a global average of 3.1 children per woman. In many places, the population is shrinking, in Europe, also in America, and in some places, some major crisis, Japan, Korea, and of course, from a religious group, it's also a major issue. So Muslims, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, they are still having a lot of children. And therefore, they're growing just by having children. So Srila Prabhupada says in the morning walk, so many children are coming, very fortunate children, very fortunate children. So all these children should be taken care of very nicely. Oh yes, they will be asset for our movement. Ramakrishna, future hope. Prabhupada, oh yes. Therefore I wanted to organize the Gurukul very nicely. We have no objection. Let them produce hundreds of children. Ramakrishna, you said that your Guru Maharaj said, Prabhupada, if I could produce Krishna conscious children, I'm prepared to produce hundreds of children. Let there be pregnancy, but Krishna conscious. So, obviously, Srila Prabhupada encouraged having children, but of course, then also educating them. This is a letter to Krishna Devi. I may inform you that all our children born of the Krishna conscious parents, they're welcome. And I want hundreds of children like that, because in the future we expect to change the face of the whole world. Okay, so this is Srila Prabhupada instruction. There are many more, of course. And some devotees are doing their part, like this family. See, they're at 6. Okay, 7, a favorable ecology. That means a religious group grows when there is a favorable environment, which means an environment in which there are many people who are not practicing any religion. So they're open. They're not attached to any group. So, other things being equal, new religious movements will prosper to the extent that they compete against weak local conventional religious organizations within a relatively unregulated religious economy. Okay, this is technical language. We'll unpack it. Put another way, new religious organization will do best where conventional religious mobilization is low. What does it mean? Some places, like for instance America, there are many who are traditionally Christian, but right now more and more people are leaving their Christian practices. They stop going to church. They still believe in God. They still want to have a spiritual life, but they don't find it in their tradition. They don't find it. So, statistically, in places where, here it says, conventional religious mobilization is low, people are not very much into their religion, then there is room for growth. Because people are not attached to anything, right? Oh. So like before coming to Texas, I was in Vancouver, Canada, and in Vancouver, 55% of all the inhabitants declare that they are not attached to any religion. The majority, 55%. In one sense, that's a very good thing because they're not attached to anybody. Doesn't mean they're bad necessarily. I mean, some may be a little bad, but some are just like that. They don't go to any church, they don't go to any temple, they don't go. So they're kind of, we could say, up for grabs, colloquially speaking. If somebody is active and going there. Like, for instance, Srila Prabhupada said in 69, actually, the hippies are our best customers. We touched a little bit last time. Hippies at least were detached, and they were detached from anything from their parents. Many of them were Christian background, many of them were Jewish background, but they were not going to a synagogue, they were not going to church, they were looking at the Eastern religions, so they were the best, because they were not attached to anything, at the same time they are open-minded and seeking, and that's the best customers. There's another letter to Chitsukananda regarding the disturbing groups of Christians, so-called. That's all right. Let them follow Lord Jesus Christ regarding their dogmatic insistence. If one is not prepared to advance more, it is better to avoid them. If one is limited by some formulas only, he is described as an animal which is bound up by the chain of the master and cannot move beyond the length of the chain. So we are concerned with persons who are not chained by anything. See the same sociological principle. This is gentleman saying, turn to Jesus or burn in hell. Given the two options, I would choose turn to Jesus personally, but maybe other options. Sometimes they come to our Ratha Yatras. I don't know if you have experience. You've seen them? They come with some placards and they say, Jesus is the only way, things like that. Probably those you will not be able to convince them, right? So just neglect them, or, what can you do, So there are some groups that are losing their bleeding members. For instance, in England, the church, this is from the Independent, is a local newspaper, Church of England, one generation away from extinction after dramatic loss of followers. The Church of England has lost nearly 2 million followers in the last 2 years and is on the brink of extinction. I mean, to lose 2 million, can you make a calculation? 2 million divided, 1 million divided 365. How much is that? It's a lot. And England is a relatively small country, right? Basically, is in terms of population, is more or less as Texas. More or less. How many every day? 2,739 a day. That means they lose more than 100 members an hour. Can you imagine that? 1 hour, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, already more than 100 members are gone. It's almost unimaginable. So that's why they say on the brink of extinction. When you lose your members, you can't maintain the churches, you can't maintain your priests, nobody goes, so it closed down. In fact, Professor Stark at the beginning of this paper, and if you want, I can share the old paper, but you can find it if you say Rodney Stark and propositions, you'll find it, otherwise I'll share with you. He says that every year thousands of religious movements appear. And of this, of 1,999 disappear. Only one every 1,000 remains for at least 100 years, means 4 generations, and attracts more than 100,000 people, which is still a very, very small group. 100,000 people in the world is nothing, and for 100 years. So most religious groups, most spiritual startups and so on, they just disappear. They just disappear. And some were the huge religion. Some of you might have heard about Manichaeism. It was a prophet born in present-day Iran, Mani, and he developed this religion. They had their monasteries, they have nuns and monks, and they had people from China all the way to Spain. It was a world religion. And they completely disappeared. In fact, we don't even have even one book on Mani. Only we have is some criticism made by Christian philosophers of Mani. Like we have our criticisms about the Mayavadis. Huh? We also hope that in the future there will not be any Mayavadi left. The only thing will be in Srila Prabhupada books, the protest against the Mayavadi. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada said this several times. I've seen London, so many hundreds of churches are closed. And it's not only England. Look at this. Netherlands, one of hundreds of decommissioned churches, a former Roman Catholic church, was turned into a skate park. Netherlands, a 19th century church, became a clothing store. England, a former church in Bristol, is now a circus training school. Because nobody went there, so you got to do something, so they sell it to a circus, because it's a very high ceiling, so it's good for circus practice. Frankenstein pub. Scotland, a former Lutheran church, became a Frankenstein-themed bar. You know Frankenstein? Yeah. So before they were worshiping Jesus and so on, and now they have this pub where people drink alcohol, and the theme of the pub is Frankenstein, which is pretty amazing. You know Frankenstein, that monster, right? Imaginary monster. Doesn't exist. So, in a lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, there are so many churches, now they're being closed. This was a church. He's talking about the Los Angeles temple. That's that one. There was no customer, and now it's filled up. Why? The same church, the same man, the same spot. It is due to real knowledge. Of course, we cannot rest on our laurels. We also have open temples that later on got closed. It's not like we can just say, ha ha. No. Letter to Shyamasundar, 1969. Modern youths are educated in advance, so they are no more interested in repetition of the same static mottos. They want something dynamic, progress in spiritual understanding. But the Christian priests could not satisfy them. Sometimes there's a lot of dogmatic ideas. People's intelligence is not attracted, it's not satisfied. So this is a Barna group. It's also an important group where they do surveys about the religious group. See, churchless means don't go to church. These are all people who don't go to church, but 68 are sure that God exists. And 39% say the purpose of life is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. In other words, they have the religious belief, but they don't go to church because they don't find much inspiration. But they have these beliefs. So it's not that they don't go to church because they're atheistic. Some may, but many, the majority, they're sure that God exists. It's just they don't find it in church. Maybe if you tell, look, we have God here, Radha Krishna. We have many forms of God. Dvaita, Achyuta, Manadi, Mananta Rupam. We have as much God as you like. Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. This Krishna conscious movement is postgraduate position of all religion. It is not any sectarian religion. You accept Christianity, very good. You accept Mohammedanism, Islamism, very good. You accept Hinduism, that's all right. It's not saying very good, they say that's all right. Okay. We have no quarrel with Hindus and Muslims or Christians or Buddhists, but our objective is that religion means there is a connection, relationship with God. Okay, Professor Stark. We ought to find that where conventional church membership and church attendance rates are low, the incidence of new religious movements will be high. Because obviously there are many more customers. The individual form of this proposition is that converts to religious groups will come primarily from the ranks of the religiously inactive. Okay, makes perfect sense, right? Now, I don't know your personal experience. I assume most of you are from Hindu background, maybe some also from Vaishnava background, but maybe, I don't know, how religiously active were each of you. I don't know, I'm not saying. Probably many of you still had faith, right, in God, in Krishna, but I don't know, maybe you were not super active. Maybe either in India or when you came to America, right? You brought your culture. Maybe you still had altars and pictures in your homes, but maybe you were not the super duper active. I don't know. But now you're very active. So Russia, it's an example of that. See, Russia was a very, very Christian country before. But then for 70 years was under communism. So religion was very much discouraged. So there's the whole generations of people who grew up without any religious training. So therefore they were not really, although formally they may say, yeah, I belong to the Orthodox Christian Church, but actually they were not doing anything. So Russia is one of the places where the Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, is mostly growing. Because people have, we could say, naturally a good religious sentiment, but they were not active. So not only ISKCON, but also new religious movements which came into Russia after the perestroika, after the fall of communism. Many religious groups immediately grew up tremendously. And for us, last time I was in Moscow, I asked the devotees, how many devotees you have here in Moscow? They said, I don't know, between 2,000 and 20,000. They didn't even know how many devotees they have. There are thousands everywhere. And not just in Moscow. You are American boys and girls. You have got the best brains. Now cooperate to place this Krishna consciousness movement at the front of all others. That is my request. Of course, this is a letter to an American boy. I believe Indians have better brains than Americans, but that's my, just say. Srila Prabhupada is encouraging. But what Americans have is this arrogance. Not that they want to impose their ideas. So that's good for devotional. It's not that the arrogance is good, but it's good that boldness, right? In fact, this movement was started with Americans, went all over the world, right? Then, of course, gradually the local people became leaders and so on. But the Americans do have that pushy nature. You live in America, right? So, and Srila Prabhupada really wanted that. You are American boys and girls, you have got the best brain. Now cooperate to place this Krishna consciousness movement at the front of all others. Srila Prabhupada was very ambitious, spiritually ambitious. He wanted to be instrumental to Lord Chaitanya, who wanted to really save everybody. Jai. Lord Chaitanya ki Jai. Should we take a break? You have any question on these things so far? Yes. And we can take questions also from the online. If you have a way to capture questions, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So what happened that 2 million followers left? What was so drastic? Do you know the church?
They just get bored. I mean, I was born as a Christian, okay? And for a few years in my childhood, my parents weren't super religious, okay? But they chose to give us a religious education. Huh? So we did the different samskaras, baptism, first communion, confirmation. This may not mean much to you, but there are different things, okay? So they gave us this. We will go Sunday morning to the church, but frankly, it was very boring. For instance, I had the realization the Mass is only 30 minutes. But for me as a child, it was like 4 hours. It's like there was nothing to grab me. In fact, I remember considering years later, say Mongol Arctic is also half an hour. But if one is absorbed in Mongol Arctic, it goes like this, right? You chant, you sing, you dance. It's very quick in one sense. And I remember that half an hour was like eternal, it never ends. Remember at the end when they say, okay, the Mass is finished, a big sigh of relief. So, also sometimes just they don't have the answer philosophically. Don't have much answers. No, they're just some dogmas, and the whole atmosphere. Sometimes these priests are very old, out of touch. There's nothing attractive. Or to be attractive, you need a very high level of sattvaguna. No, I mean there are beautiful things, obviously, in the Bible, in the Gospels. There are beautiful things, but you need sattvaguna. People now are distracted. Those 2 million people who live in 2 years, they are on the internet, they are into movies, they are in the pubs. When you are in London, for instance, we have this temple, Soho Street. Some of you have been there, Soho Street temple, just off Oxford Street, one of the most busy. In the night, there are hundreds of pubs, okay, and they're all full. They're all full. You walk outside the temple, and you have this place where people drink beer. And I don't know, they can't even talk because there's so much high music. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know what's the pleasure in that, but they do. So all the pubs are full and all the churches are empty. So, yeah, they lose taste and they gain taste for low-class things like drugs, rock and roll, and booze. I don't want to go there in a church, kind of cold, dumb, dark, somebody reciting some old texts that they don't see any relevance, and then they stop going. If they are not really completely gone, they may go there once a year, Christmas, Easter, some funeral. Funerals are pretty packed. I mean, because, if the guy's dead, you go, In other words, if you want to have fun, you don't go to church. I mean, that type of church. There are more dynamic churches, but that type of church, you don't go.
Thank you, Prabhu. That makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, ISKCON is a religious movement or a spiritual movement?
It's both. It's both. I mean, these are English words, so you got to somewhat translate them. What does it mean? This is a Sankirtan movement. At the same time, of course, it's a spiritual movement because it's based on spiritual knowledge, but there are also religious aspects. According to the dictionary religion of religious, right? We have religious rituals, we have religious norms, we have religious buildings. Yeah, as practitioners, we may not think that I'm just practicing a religion. I'm practicing bhakti yoga. I'm preparing to go back home, back to God, and I'm working on my love of God. But externally, yeah, we are a religious group. according to dictionary, right? May not be our primary, may not be our primary identity. It's like how some of you are green card holders, right? You are green card holders, some of you. It may not be your primary identity. If somebody asks you, who are you? You're not saying, I'm a green card holder. No, but you are. Okay? You got to fit somewhere, right? Okay? Otherwise, it's semantics. You know semantics, working on the words and the meaning of the words, religious, spiritual.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, another question. One of the lecture, I heard that if no more Krishna devotees on the earth, and that is the end of the world devastation, because there is no fun in maintaining this. Because jail is to reform. There is no reforming process exist, then Krishna won't maintain this, and soon after it will collapse.
Okay.
Can you comment on that? Prabhu?
Yes, I can comment. See, I don't know where you heard it from. I don't know. I don't think we can take it literally. It's more metaphorically. First of all, because there are many avatars, and there is Kalki avatar. So Kalki avatar doesn't try to convert anybody, just chop their heads off. But that means there is a world. There is a world, there is some society, very degraded, very sinful, very debased, but there is a society, there is a world. That's one aspect. So it may not be taken literally that, okay, last devotee is gone and cataclysm comes, At the same time, there may be cataclysms also while devotees are on. I mean, you see, now this is not a BJP speech, okay? But if you see the history of India, the Mathura, Vrindavan, they were all devotees of Krishna, right? And many thousands of them, they were killed. So when we hear about protection or the world, the Krishna consciousness maintain the world, we shouldn't take it literally. And of course, those were devotees in Vrindavan, and they got killed by some invaders. I won't mention which invaders, but some invaders, they came and they got killed, and they go back to God. So, in one sense, no loss, right? So, but we shouldn't think that, we chant Hare Krishna, will be protected from literally every adversity. Like this war in Ukraine, some devotees died in the war because they were in the military age, so they brought into the army and they got killed. Even from the Russian point of view, there are some devotees doing food for life near the border. Some grenade came, they died. Now, we know soul is eternal, so some of them have gone back to God. Some of them have born in Austin, and they come soon to the temple. So, life is eternal. Okay? One more question. Yes. And then we move on because we have three propositions to go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, to extension of that question, of that comment, in India, North India is kind of devotional, I feel, but the Southern India,
The Southern Indians, they're horrible.
no, not horrible. They are devotees, but there are lot of mixed and a lot of other.
Yes, Northern India is all pure, and the Southern all mixed.
See, what the point I'm trying to get is the
Be
other.
careful, there are a lot of South Indians here.
I'm South Indian too, so I'm South Indian.
Yes.
See,
Some more criticism of the South Indians?
like lot of other religions groups are invading.
Where? In South India.
In South India, that's
In North India, no. They're all pure.
so. How the Krishna conscious movement, the ISKCON is our GBC. What are there any strategies or are there any thoughts
How to save these South Indians?
how to expand the Sankirtan movement in South India? That's what my original question is. How to expand? Because still, if we go to
Look, I
Kerala,
found you, frankly, I want to be frank, okay, friendly and frank. I find this question very surprising, because, I mean, in North India, all over India, okay, Krishna is all over India. There are temples of Krishna, devotees of Krishna everywhere. But there is also a lot of weirdness everywhere in India. I mean, West Bengal, where I live, of course, there are many devotees of Lord Chaitanya, but there are also so many Apasampradayas and so many Durga Bhaktas and so many false gurus. I was hearing from the devotees who preach in West Bengal, and one of the main problems is that everybody has already a guru. And many of these gurus are fish-eating gurus and all sorts of things gurus. And I don't even want to get into more details. And that's everywhere. I mean, North India, there's so much weirdness, right? It's not that... so I don't understand this North India, South India. Where are you from? North India?
I'm from South India.
So it was more like a self-criticism. In terms of strategies, yes, locally different people do different strategy. Nationally, different devotees do different strategies. And there are many temples being opened also in South India. You might have heard in the last few years, so many temples. Chennai, Tiruvananthapuram, Madurai, and I can go on and on and on. The Anantapur and of course Tirupati. And so many temples are being opened everywhere in South India. It's not that I don't see a marked difference between ISKCON in North India and South India. And in terms of strategies, every city do their own strategy, and every division they have their own priorities. Even within, say, Mumbai, there are different temples. They have slightly different approach to how to propagate. And
Thank you.
it will take much time that we don't have to go inside that.
Sorry.
Okay?
Thank you.
So he's South Indian. He just wanted to glorify those who are from North India. And seems he doesn't know well North India. Okay, 8th proposition. New religious movements will succeed to the extent that they sustain strong internal attachments, while remaining an open social network, able to maintain and form ties to outsiders. Okay, this is very important. Strong internal attachments. In other words, for instance, they marry within their own groups, and they very much belong to each other, meaning if somebody, say, ends up in the hospital, different groups, different members of the group go and visit. Somebody needs something, babysitting or something, people volunteer. There's a funeral, there's some other samskara, people go, and sometimes they do business with each other when possible. Like Jewish people are very famous for that because, they give priority to their own religion. So that creates a very tight community. At the same time, the second part is that they should have open social network. In other words, they live in society, so they can also bring people from the society in. Because if it's just too close, if they live, say, in some jungle somewhere, just their little group, obviously they will not grow. But if they are in the society and they are very tight socially, emotionally, as a group, but they are in society, so they can bring other people in. That's the idea. So Nectar of Instruction say offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada, offering prasada, the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Some of the children know this verse. Dadati. Do you know the verse or not? No. Some adults know. Dadati. Yeah. Okay, all together. Dadati pratigrhinati bhuyamakyati pritchati bhumte bhujayate chaiva shadvidam pritilakshanam. So this is a translation. And Srila Prabhupada says the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. This is a crucial sentence because he's the founder. You may think, oh yeah, ISKCON, there are so many, we open temples and we do this and we do that. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also emphasized those things. But here in the book says that the whole ISKCON has been formed to facilitate these exchanges. What is Professor Stark is talking about? Tight ties. Okay? And obviously, you see, people can immediately, as soon as they come in, they can smell the atmosphere. It's a conflictive atmosphere. It's a friendly atmosphere. It's a welcoming atmosphere. It's a loving atmosphere. I remember once I was in Italy, there was Ratha Yatra, and I was staying in the north, say 4 hours by bus. So we organized a bus going to Ratha Yatra, and the driver was just a very, very basic person, very simple karmi, we could say. Nice guy, but very simple guy, worker, driver, okay? So we arrived at Ratha Yatra, and when we got down on the bus, all the devotees see each other from other temples. Oh, Prabhu, embracing, hugs. And so this driver, who probably didn't understand anything about Ratha Yatra or Jagannath or anything, and then he said, I'll come again with you. I like you guys because you like each other. Simple driver, Italian driver, okay? But he understood immediately the atmosphere, that these people like each other, so they liked it. So this is part of what Srila Prabhupada is talking about. The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchanges among members. People can come and see, do these people like each other or they dislike each other? And they don't want to be in a community where people dislike each other, they criticize each other, they backbite each other. There's already so many conflicts in their life. Why they should also be there in a religious life, spiritual life. If you cannot work together, then my work is topped up. Our society is like one big family, and our relationships should be based on love and trust. Okay, so this is a very good example. Radhan Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, in particular, he stressed so much. How many of you met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj? Okay, 2 of you met. And he was stressing a lot, and he developed 4 principles of community building. We don't have much time to discuss about them, but we'll show them. And then you can Google them for Principle Community Building Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you'll find it. Treat everyone you encounter as if the success of your spiritual life depends upon the quality of your interaction with them. I was give importance into every exchange. Reflect upon the person you love the most and aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love. Imagine, it will be Vaikuntha, right? People will fly into the door. Well, I want to join. View all conflict as your own fault first. See conflicts as a chance for growth, to clarify perceptions, and to create synergy. A little bit what my wife was talking yesterday, how to transform that energy. Number 4, realize that the people in your present environment might very well be the people with whom you will live out your life and who will be with you at the time of death. So better be surrounded by friends at the time of death, right? So if you love them throughout the life, you love you throughout the life, they also help in your transition, in our transition. So there is the old science of spiritual association. Bhagavatam says one should learn. These are the Nava Yogendras speaking to Maharaj Nimi. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. In other words, if we have strong devotional relationships, the material world will be less attractive because we are already satisfied. We are not looking for something else. And I want to give a little example of a place where there are this strong attachment. I'm not saying there are not here, but I created this PowerPoint thinking of Russia. They are very much into these small groups, Bhakti Vriksha groups, and other forms of groups. So they okay, just in the necessary amount. For instance, this is a map. This is very old. Now there are many more. You see, this is the map of the Moscow subway system. And they put Jagannath, one or more Jagannaths. Sometimes you see one or two. I don't know if you can see, but you see the little Jagannaths? That means near that stop, there is a Bhakti Vriksha. So you could see they're all around Moscow, and some there are more, some there are 2 or 3. And this is very old. Now they may have many, many, many more. Okay, see how organized they are. And they make these big festivals. They come together, they laugh, and there is art. See, Russian are very artistic. They do a lot of drama, a lot of music, original music. Then they dance all together, then they go Harinam. See, very impactful, you see, 200 people coming out. Then they come to Mayapur, they go together, then they do different yagyas, initiations, weddings, whatnot, weddings. There are children, there is something for everybody, children, elderly people, there's some engagement for everybody. This Angira Goranga is one of the Russian leaders. He developed especially the Bhakti Vriksha. So you want to see, of course it's in Russia, but if you want to see something, you go to bhakti-vriksha.ru. You can see a lot of photos and things. So this is the point. If there are strong internal connections, then people feel happy because they have everything inside the community. A person who is older but is initiated by a sannyasi has the duty to spread Krishna consciousness at home. As far as possible, he should call his friends and neighbors to his house and hold classes in Krishna consciousness. Holding a class means chanting the holy name of Krishna and speaking from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in other words, even the family can be a center, an extension, an expansion of our spiritual community. See, Srila Prabhupada stresses friends and neighbors. Remember the proposition, strong internal attachment, but open network. So here it says open network, friends, Srila Prabhupada say friends, neighbors. So it's an open network. We don't want to close ourselves up. And in fact, sociologically speaking, for most people, conversion consists of aligning their religious behavior with that of their friends. Most people don't study the doctrines, the books, the theology, and then, yeah, I like this theology, I want to join. No, there are some friends in that community, the friends brings them, they like the atmosphere, and they stay. Later, they may learn the scriptures, they may learn the shlokas, and so on. But before, they just more or less come because of a friend brought them. So we see this the dynamics also in the Bhagavatam when Narada Muni was talking with the sons of Daksha. This is the second batch, okay? O sons of Daksha, please hear my words of instruction attentively. You are all very affectionate to your elder brothers, the Haryashvas. Therefore, you should follow their path. Your brothers gave up everything. You also should go join the brothers. You also give up everything. See how psychologically. Using attachments for Krishna consciousness. People do not join religious groups because they suddenly found the doctrines appealing. They convert when their ties to members outweigh their ties to non-members. It's a process of socialization. We have relations, okay, non-members relations at home and or in the job or whatever, our tennis club, whatever. We have ties to non-members. When the ties to the members or any religious community becomes more important, then we join that group. So, ties, emotional ties, connections, network, tuck, 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 and of course, it all works in the heart. Because human beings, we say humans are rational animals, but they're mostly emotional animals. So the heart is the key, really. So again, this League of Devotees circular from 55. First attempt to start a movement. If you cannot go to others outside your heart and home, you can do the preaching work among your family members only. And in this meeting, your other friends, neighbors, and relatives also can join. See, ties, ties, ties. Hold this meeting regularly for 1 hour in your home or any other suitable place near about your home. And then again, what we already read, the League of Devotees stand to serve the humanity. Sorry, no, we didn't read that. The League of Devotees stand to serve the humanity in the spirit, and the preaching members' cooperation in this noble act of human behavior will reciprocally benefit both the League and its preaching members. Also, when all the members of the community preach, they develop a higher taste. So all the criticism, the gossip, the backbiting feels very stale. If one experiences a higher taste, lower taste feel very unattractive. But if there is no higher taste, we try to get this surrogate taste by criticizing. Okay, so this was the network ties. Do you like these ideas? Can you see them in your life? They're not just abstract ideas, right? This is real. This is our life and our mission. Now, lesson 9, staying strict. Remember Monday we were saying being strict, but here it's a little different, staying strict. Because many groups start very strict, but then they start watering down. And so they lose members, they lose attractiveness, they lose energy. 9th proposition. Religious movements will continue to grow only to the extent that they maintain sufficient tension with their environment. Remain sufficiently strict. Because the temptation, natural temptation, is to compromise. Oh, we are giving initiation only for 16 rounds. And there are so many Gaudiya mats, they give for 4 rounds, they give initiation. They give 2 rounds, 1 round. Do you have Gaudiya mat groups in Austin? Yeah. So we may think, well, they do 4, they do 2, why is 16? No? So the tendency, and this could be one thing, it could be many things. The tendency is to kind of start cutting corners, compromise. And then when you cut many corners, you lose the shape. And here Srila Prabhupada, in a few quotes, there are many more, but there are these quotes in which he was very, very conscious of the fact that Krishna consciousness can go bad. It's not that, oh, ISKCON will always be. No. If we are not careful, ISKCON will also become weak. Our movement, this is a room conversation in Hawaii, 76. Our movement, it may appear just like other movement, but because the movement is giving Krishna, that means it is as good as Krishna. So if we keep our movement pure, then you are as strong as Krishna. And as soon as you deviate from it, immediately ordinary. This is the secret. Now it is up to you. No, it is up to us. Know how to keep it pure. Follow the rules and regulations, worship the deity, and chant Hare Krishna mantra as you have given. Then you remain as strong as Krishna. See, ultimately, beyond, over and above all these sociological, psychological considerations, which are real, ultimately, it's a spiritual movement, right? And we are presenting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we don't present or practice purely, the potency dissolves. And these are ways that can dissolve. Go on in the standard way, keep yourself pure, then movement is sure to be successful. If you manufacture wins and disagree and fight amongst yourself, then it will be another edition of these so-called movements. It will lose the spiritual strength. So we have to keep the mantra in potency. Potent by offenseless chanting, by remaining pure. If you pollute the mantra, then it will lose its effect. See the signs? I mean, you're from India, South India, North India, East India, West India, whatever. But you're from India, you know this, right? The mantras. It's not a Siddhi mantra, it's for Krishna Prema. But obviously, if you take up the mantra and you don't chant, like it happens, people take initiation, they don't chant 16 rounds. Obviously, that mantra is not, I mean, even quantitatively is not there. We are supposed to chant 1,728 mantras. Right? 1,728 mantras. If you chant less, you are less. This is a science of mantra. It's not just, some religious feeling. And the 4 principles, right? There are 4. Anyway, you know these things. If you adulterate our Sankirtan movement with some business motive, then it will be spoiled immediately. Be careful in that way. So this is very clear. Srila Prabhupada is not thinking, because this is Krishna consciousness, come from Lord Chaitanya, everything will be all right. Not necessarily. After Lord Chaitanya, so many deviations. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote that 13 Apasampradaya book. And those 13 Apasampradaya, they have many subdivisions. They're not just 13. There are 1,300, 13,000. Those 13 are the main groups. So Srila Prabhupada knew, if we are not careful, also ISKCON will degrade. Now people are seeing how genuine our movement is. They're coming forward to offer us so many places. We simply have to maintain our strict principles, keeping ourselves pure. Otherwise, there are so many bogus institutions doing business in the name of God and simply cheating the people. We have to be careful not to degenerate like these others. If we simply go on expanding and there are no qualified men to lead, then everything will be spoiled eventually. And then a famous quote, many of you know, I'm fearful that if we expand too much in this way, that we shall become weakened and gradually the whole thing will become lost, just like milk. We may thin it more and more with water for cheating the customer, but in the end it will be cease to be any longer milk. You heard many times, boil the milk, right? You like full milk or a glass like this, half water, half milk? You like full milk or half water, half milk? Full milk. Smart girl. Okay. I have a quote from a religious leader, Christian religious leader from England, 19th century. I found it interesting. Discernment is not knowing the difference between right and wrong. It is knowing the difference between right and almost right. See, some devotee comes here with a lump of flesh, okay, beef. Everybody understands, what are you doing? You know, get this thing out, out, out. That's easy. Right and wrong, it's easy. But almost right, it's difficult. And it's from almost right that everything else comes. We're not going to cook chicken and meat, you follow? At least not immediately, you follow. But it starts with one thing, another thing, another thing, another thing, another thing. Lesson 10, effective socialization of the young. So 6 was have enough children. But now 10 is keep the children. How you keep the children? Well, they should be happy to be here. 10th proposition, religious movement must socialize the young sufficiently well as to minimize both defection and the appeal of reduced strictness. In other words, defection means that they go. They just leave the community, that they go somewhere else. And reduced strictness means that they stay, but, you know, why 16 rounds? Why this? Why that? You know, why? What is a little smoke? What is a little ganja? You know? I want to stay, but I want to stay with the ganja, you know? And we say, no, yeah, you can stay, you know, it's our kids, you know. So successful groups integrate those raised within the group so that the young continue to identify with the group's teachings. They have the faith, you know, and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, in our case, Bible or Quran and other cases. The young adopt the lifestyle recommended by the group. The young remain or become active in the group. Do you want to remain active in the group? Do you want to remain active in the group? Not sure. You're still young. You'll make up your mind. The young don't promote lower standards. They don't attempt to water down the established practices. So that means success in this area. And frankly, as a movement, we are not doing too well in that area, at least in the last 50 years. Anyway, so for instance, of 100 Jehovah's Witness children, 63 turns their backs on the religion of their parents. So in other words, they preach a lot, okay? They spend millions, literally millions of hours out there with their tracts, with their pamphlets, with their books, with their magazine, okay? But then their children, 2/3 of their children don't remain Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, again, our friends, the Amish, they are pretty good at keeping people. I think they are about 90%, 92% at keeping their groups. See, they have a very strict lifestyle. They don't have telephones at home, what to speak of mobile phones. They don't have cars. They are very strict. So they have to face this thing, how to keep all these children in the community. So they have devised something called rumspringa, which in English sometimes is translated as the wilding. The wilding. When they're 16, they send them out of the communities. These are rural communities, very close knit. They send them out in the world. They pay everything, and they say, now you can experience whatever you want. Experience rock and roll, experience drugs, experience whatever you want. That's your wilding. That's why they call it wilding, no? Then you decide. You come back and you live like an Amish, otherwise you stay. Most people come back. So this is a movie they made about them, and no, this is a. If you Google, there's so much videos and stuff about this. The Rumspringa. Some people they stay out. They like more the so-called material world, right? But most people come back and they're no, because they don't want to contaminate their culture. You follow? You stay in or stay out. Now, I don't recommend this to us because we are already living so much in the world, we don't need to send them out of the world again. But for them, which is a very close religious community, that's the best thing they could find. Because obviously they are young, right? They're young, they see the world. Like for instance, sometimes you go to a Walmart and you see the Amish shopping also. So they are in touch with the world, but they live very separate from the world. So at one point they say, okay, go out, you make up your mind, and if you come back, you are an Amish. And so every other community, these are Jewish rites of passage, you know, they have their own ways. I skip. Now, some quotes from Srila Prabhupada. That's why Srila Prabhupada wanted so strongly these full immersion schools. Gurukul, Varnashram school. Now you be trained up and revise the whole edition of the Western civilization, especially in America. Then a new chapter will come in. This is the program. Therefore, Varnashram school required. Satsarup, should our children wear a Gurukul when they grow up? Should they go to Varnashram college? Or yes, they should go. Is there a minimum age for beginning such a college? Srila Prabhupada, yes, 10 to 12 years, from 5 to 10 years, Gurukula. And after 10 years, they should go to the Varnashram college. Why? Because it's a simply slaughterhouse. This so-called school is called slaughterhouse. Yes, slaughterhouse. This Gurukul should be taken care of very nicely. So nice preachers may come out. I'm especially pleased that your Gurukul project is going forward nicely. By the way, this was in Dallas. It was Gurukul. I consider that this is one of our most important projects. I consider this Gurukul school to be one of our most important aspects of this movement, and it should be given all serious consideration by the members. These were for teachers. I consider your work the most important in the society because you're shaping the future generation of our Krishna consciousness preacher. And this is not any small thing. I'm very, very glad to hear of your desire to return to Gurukul. It is the most important preaching work to train our children in Krishna consciousness, education of life. If a child is trained properly in Krishna consciousness, he will never go away. Gurukul is our most important project. Now the last slide, this is from the Bhagavata. So it's official, it's public, it's solemn. Okay, everything is solemn, but this is in the books. In our Krishna consciousness movement, the Gurukul plays an extremely important part in our activities, because right from childhood, the boys at the Gurukul are instructed about Krishna consciousness. Thus, they become steady within the cores of their hearts. So we see that both Professor Stark, from a sociologist's point of view, and Srila Prabhupada, from the point of view of the founder Acharya of the Golden Age, stress integration of the youth. Different groups have different ways, and Srila Prabhupada promoted the Gurukul way, which is right now is basically nowhere. Okay, so we have 4 or 5 minutes left. Any question or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. I have one question about, so these days in US especially, the Western devotees are not there much. It's mostly Indian India-born people. So how do we, based on all this principle, how do we propagate more to integrate everybody?
Well, just like, you know HG Prabhu, right? So one of his principles is, more you show, more you sell. Right? You familiar? Yes, some principle for book distribution. One principle, more you show, more you sell. It's practical, right? You say you are out distributing books. You show the book 100 times. It's more likely you sell more books than you show 10 times. This is just basic statistics. There are other elements. Of course, there are elements of how pure you are, how good you are, how enthusiastic you are. That's it. But one practical element is more you show, more you sell. So the principle remains the same. You want to propagate this message to a certain group, let's say Western, the indigenous population of the United States. It could be the Americans, or it could be other people, other culture than the Mexicans. It could be, whoever lives in this country. And more you show, more you sell. You need to get this message out. You need to go there in some form, in the schools, in the shopping malls, on the internet, on the Facebook, on WhatsApp, on TikTok. You need to be present. More you're present in their life, more there is a chance that they will be interested. Right now, most people don't even know that we exist. So you can make a big impact if they don't even know that you exist. So that's the basic answer. Then, of course, you may present in a slightly different way, meaning because, if somebody is from India and is a Hindu and you say, we have a class on Bhagavad Gita, okay, satsang. If you say satsang, people understand, right? If you just say satsang, if you go to an American person, we have satsang. What is it? So you got to explain a little more than just say we have satsang or we have prasad. You need to kind of translate that. If they're vegan, you may want to present things in a maybe vegan way because they're vegan. And of course, if you just say Bhagavad Gita, they may never heard about Bhagavad Gita. So you may say yoga philosophy. In other words, you may need to translate many of the ideas, but the principle is that you're there, your message goes out in different formats, in different environments, in different forums. Okay? That's a basic answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just one quick question regarding socialization among the youngs. So, as we have Bhakti Vriksha, running across the world. Mostly it is the adult population who are connected. Are there some programs in ISKCON that are connecting the youngs, the teens, so that there is a group, something like that, so that they have an area where they can share the common interest things?
Yeah, we do have something, not much. We do have something. We have a youth ministry, and luckily for you, the minister lives in America. Manoram Prabhu, he lives in Alachua. Maybe it's a good idea to invite him and give a seminar here on the importance of having youth programs. See, for instance, talking about the Christians, every normal church will have a senior pastor and a youth pastor. They have a pastor, a priest, just dealing with the youth. That's a job. That's a full-time job. Because adults and youths are different. There are different levels of energy. There are different type of mentality. There are different cultures. So organized churches, they understand that, and they have a pastor for the adults and a pastor for the youth. And so they do things in a different way. There may be more games, more picnics, more fun, more music, whatever. But they have one person that's in charge of that. Very often we don't do that. In fact, we see when you go to the temple, I don't know how many temples you've seen. Some of you are from Seattle, some of you have seen other temples. Sometimes we see that there are only adults, elderly people, and young people. Very young children, because young children, of course, you bring them, right? They can't do anything else. But then there's this whole gap of teenagers that don't come. Because for whatever reason, we may just say, well, they're in Maya, you know. And then to some extent they are in Maya. But, but the point is that we may not think when we make a plan of what we could do for them. So that's an area, as I quickly mentioned, in which we are very weak, in fact. I mean, I've never been here to a Sunday program, so Sunday, let's see how many people are small children, how many people are adults, or elders, senior citizens, how many teenagers are here? Probably very little. And it's not that they're not devotees. I mean, I stay with Prabhu for 4 days, and they're not that your children are devotees, very devotees. But you see, they're not here for whatever reason. For whatever reason, it's a different demographics. It's a different generation, and we need to have a different policies. So that's end the presentation on why religious movements succeed or fail. And because you have seen this presentation, you have no excuses to not be super successful. I'm joking. You already know everything. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's a wonderful seminar.
What was wonderful about it?
So various parts and bits and pieces I heard from various Maharajas and various classes. Now you all put together importance of the being an exemplary devotee. That's what Gopal Krishna Maharaj said. How we can attract more devotees. Many people said